Hi, and welcome to A Drummer's Guide to, the podcast all about the things that it takes to be a professional musician. And now, every episode is shaped by your listener questions. So my name is Emily Dolan Davis, by the way. I have been navigating this professional musician space since 1999, and now I'd love to help you do the same. So if you have a very specific question that you'd like to ask me for a future episode, you can go to emilydrums.com/AMA, as in ask me anything. But today's question comes from Joe Threlfall. Now, I want to say thank you, Joe, because I put out the call that I was changing the format of this podcast, and you literally were the first person straight in there, same day, and I was like, I love this dude. So thank you, Joe, so much, because the fear, I can't tell you the fear of changing this format and going, oh my God, no one's going to ask any questions. And so far a few have, so that's fantastic. But yeah, always will need more. So get your questions in. So let's go, Joe. All right, so Joe asks, what should you be posting to stories versus pinned posts on Instagram? And can you film what you're practicing off your phone and post it? Yay or nay? I do theatre pick work, you see, in an Amdram production, and I aspire to depth on the tours, as I do a lot of preliminary sit-ins on the West End tours that come through Manchester and have been networking, etc. What advice would you say would help, in inverted commas, which I kind of love, in my help my next step in achieving that goal? The band fixers on the tours want a lot of playing experience as an Amdram, etc., as they ain't gonna book someone who they haven't seen or heard unless the chair holder asks you to depth. Thoughts on this? Okay, first off, Joe, thank you so much. Like I said on my initial call out, I said, give me as much kind of detail as you can, be as specific as you can. When I tell you, this is exactly what I wanted. So thank you so much, because there's so much here. There's so much meat on the bone, and I just want to rip it off. So where to start? Okay, so what I will first start off saying, that's a good start, is I have to say, like, well done, first of all, for being in the circles that you want to be in terms of, you want to be doing tours on stage, doing pit work, all of that, and you have got yourself in a position where you are running in those circles. That in itself is such a huge thing, because there's a lot of people that I know that haven't even got to that step yet. So I just want to acknowledge that, because I think it's very, very, very easy, and I do this too, to not even see the strengths that we have. And that is huge, that you are in the mix. You're not where you want to be just yet, but you're definitely like in that area, in that space, and you're kind of, you're mingling in that area. I love it. And I just want to acknowledge that, because if you're anything like me, you don't acknowledge that. You just go, it's not enough. I should be doing more. Awful word, should. Awful word. But I personally, I want to acknowledge that for you, because that is big. You're already in that world. So kudos to you. So, I want to pick apart sort of like a few different parts of this message, because I think there's multiple things going on here that could be looked at. Also, Joe, I've looked at your Instagram, because I do enjoy doing this, where I look at it as fresh eyes, as I always say, so that I can see how you come across instantly. And I can I'm not going to say it's quite easy for me. I can pick out some things that could make a difference. So let's start with that. In fact, no, we're not going to start with the Instagram. What we're going to start with is that you mentioned about, where was it? You said the band fixers on the tours want a lot of playing experience in Amdram, etc. I just love this vernacular. They ain't going to book someone who they haven't seen or heard unless the chair holder asks you to depth, which I 100% agree. And in fact, like, this will link to your Instagram, which I have looked at, and maybe I should go from there. Let's go from there. So, to me, when I look at your Instagram, and if anyone else wants to look it up, and they can kind of follow along. If you're not driving or anything like that, it's at Joe_Threlfall_guitar is their Instagram. So just sort of like looking at it very briefly, it very much So Joe is a guitarist, which I didn't know from his message, but I know now, obviously. And I hope that this is the right Joe Threlfall, otherwise this is completely pointless. But anyway, no, it almost certainly is. So the way that I see it, my instant impression, first of all, the profile picture that you have, Joe, is very blurry and you can't see your face. So I would say and it looks like you're in a dingy rehearsal studio. And that's no like shade or anything like that. But if you're looking to do West End stuff, West End is clean. West End is very, professional. It's reading, it's all that sort of stuff. So it's very precise. So I would get a very clear picture of you with very good lighting. You could be playing your guitar, but equally you could just be holding your guitar in a well-lit kind of studio type situation, like photography studio situation, just because of the kind of work that you're trying to do. If you were in a metal band, this is fine. Like, this picture is fine. It's very grungy. It's very gritty. That's absolutely fine. But there is if you wanted to go for more pop tour work, again, this is a bit too ambiguous, a bit too gritty. I want to see your face. People are wanting to hire you. They want to see what you look like who is this person, not this picture, which is quite hard to understand what you're looking at. So that's the first thing. The next thing is I'm going to read out Joe's bio. So professional guitarist, musical theatre, pit musician, in brackets, electric, acoustic and mandolin, former Salford Uni Music Masters graduate, fluent sight reader. Now, half of this I love. The other half I will talk about in a second. So I love the fact that you are being so upfront, professional guitarist. By the way, I would put all of these things on separate lines just so it's easier to read, because currently it's all just a run-on sentence and it looks very intense, very muddled, maybe. Not muddled. You want it to be as clear as possible. That's always my thing. Make things as clear as possible. So professional guitarist, next line. Musical theatre, pit musician. Love that. Next line. Not in brackets, just put electric, acoustic and mandolin. Fine. Now here's where I have my issue. Former Salford Uni Music Masters graduate and fluent sight reader reads as I'm a student with not a lot of experience. That's how it comes across to me, especially the fluent sight reader bit. I know that, doing a master's, of course, is so much work and so much money, and you want to be like, yeah, like that's what I've done, which is great. But the reality is, and this is coming from someone who has no musical qualifications in terms of like uni or master, like none of that. Further education, absolutely not. I was out gigging at 18. As soon as I could, I was like, I'm out there, I'm playing. And that is my uni, if you like. But unfortunately, I think that kind of reads as I'm an academic, I'm not out there doing the thing, even though the rest of your bio says you are. It's kind of undermining you a little bit by focusing on your qualifications. Qualifications mean diddly in this world, like in the music world, at least in my experience. I think it's different if you're teaching. Well, it's definitely different if you're teaching, but for things like going out on tour, especially, as you've said, this, you've told me they want experience, and experience in a uni is not experience treading the boards, and that is much more beneficial. So I would say get rid of all of that. Also, fluent sight reader, to me, it would be a given that you're a sight reader if you're doing musical pit theatre work, right? So if you say that, it makes you go, oh, why do they feel the need to say that? That seems worrisome, So I would take that out completely. Something I would add as well is your location. I have no idea where you are in the world. If I'm just reading this, I would hazard a guess and say that you're in Manchester. But again, in fact, I'm pretty sure that you said that they were coming through, Manchester. Right, okay. So West End shows that are coming through Manchester. So put your location for sure, like 100%. So yeah, that's what I'd say about the bio side of things. Now, getting into your actual profile, I love that the majority is, and if you're looking at this right now, the majority of the posts are guitar related. You know, there's a picture of a pedal board, there's a few videos of you clearly playing guitar, which I've listened to, and you can play, which is always a benefit, always a benefit. So there's a few bits and bobs here, but there are a couple of posts that kind of stick out to me as, oh, that's a bit odd. There's one that says, had a great time in Bali with you and I would assume your partner, which is lovely, but it's not professional, if you know what I mean. Like, it's mixing personal and professional. So to me, I'm like, no, it's not, that's not right. There's a one further down for, I think it's your birthday. Is it your birthday? Yeah, birthday drinks. Again, it's not quite there. Also, there's pictures of your, oh, I've just realized I've just gotten to the end of your feed. Oh, wow. Okay. So you don't have a huge amount of content. I thought there were a lot more posts on this. Anyway, there's a few posts that have your guitar that you've clearly taken apart to redo or whatever. That reads as guitarist, and or a luthier or something like that. It doesn't read as someone that is out there doing the thing, gigging. And in terms of actual gigging posts, you have 3 posts of you actually out there gigging. And I know you were saying about, you know, they want people with a lot more experience. Yes, they do. Even more than that, they want to see, because you made such a good point, and I want to harp on this because it's so true. Yeah, they ain't going to book someone who they haven't seen or heard. 100% correct. This is where your Instagram will be your biggest ally. If you can show people that you're out there playing, and not just in like theatre shows, if you can be out there doing dep gigs or whatever, function gigs, anything, where you can set up a camera and show people that you're out there doing things. Because a big thing with theatre as well, I know that a lot of it is read, definitely, but when it comes to things like touring, as soon as you're on the road, it's not about the music necessarily. It's about all the other stuff. It's about learning how, like knowing how to travel well with other people. And I think that if you are able to show, you know, these musical directors that you're out there doing the thing, then, as in not just theatre, you're doing all sorts. Because the other thing is, theatre often, I'm sure you, of course you know this, you're doing it, you're always playing so many different types of music. And if you are put in loads of different situations, if you can convey that, it's only going to add to your prowess as a musician for people to want you. So I think currently a really good, I think there's a few parts to this. I think that, you know, getting out there and playing with lots of different people would be a really good start. You know, you're in Manchester. Well, I think you're in Manchester. I'm pretty certain you are. Sorry, I'm just going to move my legs. I want to get a bit more comfortable. I'm shaking everything behind me and in front of me. I think, you know, you're in Manchester, which is a great place to be doing music. So I think that getting out there and just playing with as many people as you can in function gigs, in covers gigs, even in originals bands, or like with originals artists maybe, which might not pay very well, let's face it. But just getting that experience, but even more than that, logging that experience and then showing it on your Instagram is just going to, it's only going to increase your chances of getting gigs. Because at the moment, your posts are very much you playing in your room, recording stuff, which is great. It sounds cool, but it's not the same as performing. You know, there are millions of people that will play in their bedroom and they sound fantastic. You get them on stage and they don't know what to do. And admittedly, there are a couple of posts here where you are in the pit, but it's not completely obvious. You have actually done a text over it, Legally Blonde Overture, and oh my God, you guys, oh my God, this took ages to upload. Okay, and then the other one, what's this? Whipped into Shape from Legally Blonde, the musical. I've done this show twice now and it's really fun, doing a third time next year too. So yeah, so you're doing like all the stuff, which is really, really good. But I think that, you know, just having more a dynamic mix of posts would really draw the eye and do all that. The other thing I will say as well Sorry, this feels like a barrage, Joe. I'm so sorry. I hope that this helps you. And I have to stress at this point, like, you're doing a lot of things so fantastically, and it's just about sort of building on what you're already doing. And like I say, the fact that you're already in these circles is amazing. I think it's just showing people what you can do. So another thing, and I know that this isn't as relevant in theatre work, but I think that at the moment, the videos that you have up of you playing are quite static in your performance. And I think that you have space to create a bit more of a compelling kind of like performance situation. So just a bit more movement, a bit more digging in, a bit more grit, like, you know what I mean? A bit more of that sort of vibe coming into the picture. Because again, it will just draw people in to want to watch you and go, oh, wow, they're clearly comfortable, they're feeling what they're doing, and it's going to make people want to be on stage with you. So all that being said, I want to go back to the beginning of your message because I think that it's relevant at this stage. So you said, what should you be posting to stories versus pin posts on Instagram? And can you film what you're practicing off your phone and post it, yay or nay? So, right, there's a couple of things I have to say about this. I mean, there's always multiple things, isn't there? So what should you be posting, stories versus pin posts? Okay, so let's talk about pin posts first and foremost, because I think that this will be the most important thing for you. If you have any live footage that is filmed a little, because currently it's very solo, the footage that you have on your Instagram, it's very based around you, which is fine. But if you have any footage that is more of a full stage of you playing, or even the full pit of you playing, so you can see that you're playing with other musicians and it's a little more like inclusive of other people or other gigs, it doesn't need to be just theatre work, like just showing your variety of experience performing. I think if you collate all of that and then create a show reel, I've spoken about this many times on other episodes, a show reel just showcasing your experience, the fact that you do have experience, you can play lots of things. Now, I will say maybe don't use the audio from those things because it can feel quite jarring. So maybe record a guitar track over the top that would showcase, you know, maybe it can be a piece from a show that you've done or something, and you just record that. Maybe you record over the original, use Moises, take out the guitar, record your guitar, whatever you want to do. Something creative. Maybe you just, maybe not a solo because that's not very apt for theatre work, but something that is in line with the kind of work that you want to be doing. So record that as the audio track and then cut the clips to that audio to create a show reel. Pin that thing to the first pin on your Instagram, basically, so that it's the first thing that people see. You already do this anyway, so I know that you're aware of this. Putting text over the top so that you can actually know what's going on. You can even create cover photos, which I always think is a really good way of sort of like instantly creating cohesiveness between posts. So you can kind of use some sort of template, whether that's a certain color scheme or a certain design through Canva or something like that. Again, this is a little ways down the line, so don't worry too much about that for now. I think just getting that show reel together and putting it as your pinned post is going to make such a difference, because as you said, people are not going to book you if they haven't seen or heard you. So change that. It shouldn't be just about the people that are in the room at the time when you're performing, because think about it. When you're in the room there, everyone that's in that room has a million things that they're thinking of, including you. You're thinking of a million things too. Then in their mind, they're not going to be like, oh, I'm looking for a guitarist. No, they're there doing a job, a very different job, especially if they're an MD. They're trying to juggle 5 billion things all at once. I'm sure there's like 20 things going wrong at once, and they're trying to sort it out, along with all life stuff as well. So what you ideally want is kind of, you get in there, you do the job, you get on, you chat to the MD, you make friends, right? Same with the other musicians. You just make friends. And some people you're going to be drawn to, some you're not. Don't force it. But the point is, when they are looking for a guitarist, you will be in their minds like, oh, I remember Joe. Yeah, we got on really well. Let's take a look at, let me just remind myself of how he plays or what he does. And they look at your Instagram first pinned post, and it's your show reel, showcasing yourself and reminding this person, yeah, Joe's my guy. So that is the theory of how it would work. So that's kind of the pin post side of things. In terms of the stories you were saying, posting to stories, for me, Stories are a way to keep top of mind with people. So, because I'm sure that you've had this experience, especially at the moment, and depending on when you listen to this, I'm sure it all would have changed again. But currently, when you look at your Instagram feed, often it's not actually showing you your followers or people you're following, rather. It's showing a lot of like things that Instagram, the algorithm thinks you will like. And let me tell you, they get it very right with me. It's all very much like boxing or like cats, funny animals, maybe some food stuff. But very rarely do I see posts of people that I actually follow. However, in that stories bar up the top, I always see the things that I want to see in terms of from my friends, from the people that I'm following. So I will always click that to see what they're up to. And that is where you're going to utilize staying top of mind for people. So the feed post can kind of be there as a rolling EPK, I would say, like a rolling CV. But the stories need to be the thing to keep people top of mind so that when they click on your post and remind themselves of how awesome you are, Joe. So I would post on your stories as often as you can, probably at least once a day, I would. And the way that I would post on stories is just documenting what you're up to. And that can be you're in the pit, you're learning new songs, you're for this show that's coming up. I saw something about We Will Rock You next year you're doing, so maybe something to do with that. Congratulations, by the way. And yeah, so I think that that would be a really good thing to do, just documenting. Now, you said about can you film what you're practicing off your phone and post it, yay or nay? I would say for your stories, yes, because it's meant to be a bit raw, it's meant to be a little bit like gritty and honest and vulnerable, basically. That is stories for me. They disappear after 24 hours unless you want to put them in a highlight, which I'm going to talk about your highlights in a second as well. Yeah, so I think that's fine. I think when you're posting to your feed, it needs to be a little more polished, a little bit. But in general terms, I think stories, you can be a little more raw. What I will also say is be careful with the practicing side of things, posting anything when you're practicing, because sometimes that can come across as like, unless you're playing it really well, like if it's like, oh, really struggling with this bit here, instantly it's gonna, if I were an MD, it's gonna make me doubt your capabilities. I know that's harsh, but it is just the way that it is. Also, it would come across that you are either still a student or you're a teacher, because often teachers will post things like that, which is fine. But if you're not pitching yourself as that, I think you just have to be very aware of who your audience is. So I think that posting a picture of you learning a song or posting a picture of you in the pit or whatever, it just, or a small video, that's fine, of you performing or whatever, is fine, because you're just showing people that you're busy, because everybody loves a busy person. Everybody does. So I think doing that will really, really help you. So I think that's all of that kind of done. So what else we got? So I just want to check. Oh, that's the other thing I was going to say about your highlights. So for your highlights, currently Joe has 3 highlights: theatre sit-ins, musicals 2026, and highlights. It's just called highlights. I would sack those off because they're not very clear what they are. So the theatre sit-ins is just one post saying, I'm going to be sitting in on this thing, but nothing else. The musicals 2026 is saying about this We Will Rock You thing, which is very cool. But the post that has been used is an audition post, which makes me think, and I know that this probably isn't true, but it makes me think, oh, are you just saying that you're auditioning for this? And then the highlights one is a little bit ambiguous. It's a bit of a mishmash of random things, including being out on holiday in Bali, which again, it just doesn't fit with the professional sort of side of things. So I would change that to like theatre work, maybe live shows, I don't know, maybe even just one that is literally just theatre work, and then you collate anything that you've done in the theatre into that one highlight, so people can see how busy you are. If just the sheer volume of like opening up a highlight that says theatre work, and if you see that there are like 50 stories related to that, then instantly I'm like, oh, this dude's doing the thing. That's awesome. So yeah, I would say have a look at your highlights. Also maybe add cover photos to your highlights just to clean it up a little bit. But yeah, I think what else? I hope that those are some good things to kind of like start with. I just want to double check that I haven't. So, yeah, if you're aspiring to do debt work on tours, fine. I love that you, like I said, I love that you're already doing preliminary sit-ins with shows as they come through. Also, the thing of you said about getting in on debts. Sorry, what you said. The chair holder might ask you to dep. Yes, that's a huge thing, especially in the drum community. I know that it's slightly different in the guitarist community, but I reckon as long as you like, I think just make it be known. You might be already, so I don't know. But if you're not, be very explicit to the people that, you're, because I'm not sure how it works. So they must not be on the shows when they come through Manchester and you're doing the preliminary stuff. They must then jump on it once they leave. So I would just reach out to that guitarist afterwards and just be like, dude, I've just been doing that show that you're about to go on. So much fun. Like, if you ever need a dep, let me know. I already know the stuff. Like, but like as a joke, like, funnily enough, I already know the material, because to them, if I were in that position, I'd be like, what a relief. If I can't do a show, I don't need to worry about someone learning the stuff. They've already been there, they've done it, they've already been working with this MD. So there's already a connection there. So maybe do that. You might already be doing that. I don't know. Same with the MD. Just mention to them. Just sort of say, look, if you need any debt, I'm happy traveling, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I think you're in such a great position, quite honestly. And I think it's just about tweaking those things as you go that will just support what you're already doing, because you're already doing the hard bit, quite honestly. Like, you're already doing the thing. You're in the circles. That's the hardest bit, is to get into those circles, which you're already there. So now it's just about capitalizing on it, I suppose. And also, I will say, keeping in touch with all of the other musicians that are in those bands, if they're then going on to the touring thing, and maybe even asking those touring musicians, their advice too. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I'd say those are some things to get along with, I think. There was something else I was going to say and I cannot remember what it was. Gosh darn it. Yeah, I think just keeping in touch with the other musicians that you've met, but also if you're reaching out to the musicians that are now on the shows once they've left Manchester, I think that's a really great in. You can just be like, dude, I've been working on this show, like, it's really fun, enjoy it. Even just something simple like that, via email, via Instagram, or whatever. I mean, ideally Instagram, once you've got this show reel up, because then they can see, oh my god, yeah, Joe can play. Like, this is actually really useful, so I can remember that if everyone needs to dep stuff out at some point. Life happens. So if you can be that person, then I think that'd be really great. So yeah. Also, sorry, one last thing, keep touching base with all the musicians that are related to the productions that you've been doing, like whether they're now on the West End shows, whether they're now on the touring shows. Reach out to them every 3 months. When they come into Manchester, go see the show, go hang out beforehand, hang out afterwards, just go hang. That's it. And I think you already know this, because you wouldn't be where you are without doing some of these things already, like, for sure. So anyway, Joe, thank you so much for your question. I really hope that this has helped in some way. I just want to double check I've hit everything that I wanted to hit. Yeah, I think so. Maybe a few more posts on your Instagram as well, because I did notice that they're quite sporadic in terms of when you post. So maybe a few more pointed posts, but get that pinned one done. Get the pinned show reel done, and that will serve you over and over again. I almost guarantee it. But yeah, anyway, I hope that this has helped you in some way. Thank you again, Joe, for being the official first person sending in a question with this new format. It means a lot that you would ask me these things and trust me with, giving any sort of insight into what you're trying to do. I really hope this helped. And yeah, please, I cannot understate how brilliant it is what you're doing and where you're at already. Like I say, I need to acknowledge that, because if you're anything like me, you're not even seeing that. So yes, you're doing fantastically. Just keep going. You're already in the right area. Just sometimes also time is a factor, and patience. It's so annoying. I hate it so much, but it is. So I'm having to exercise patience at the moment, actually, with this whole degree thing. I'm finding it very difficult. Anyway, I won't go into it. I'll do it another time. But yes. Anyway, I hope that this has helped in some way. Thank you, Joe, for this wonderful question. If anyone does want to check out Joe Threlfall, sorry, Joe Threlfall, you can go and check out his Instagram, Joe_Threlfall_guitar. And yeah, go check him out if anyone needs a guitarist on their theatre production. Ideally West End or touring. No, ideally touring, but West End would be fun too. But yeah, go check him out. And yeah, thank you again. So if you have a question yourself that you'd like me to answer on a future episode, if you go to emilydrums.com/AMA, and if you've enjoyed this episode, you think it would help someone else, because, you know, a lot of these things are very universal, then you can like, share, and subscribe this episode. Subscribe to this channel. You can like this episode. You can share this episode. You know what I'm trying to say. And if you would rather not do this as publicly and you would like some one-on-one coaching, you can reach out to me at emilydrums.com for a free discovery call where it'll be 30 minutes. I'll just ask you some questions of where you're at, where you want to be, and let you know anything that comes to mind. And of course, I will talk to you then about what it looks like to work together more formally, sort of more long term. So yeah, that's that, I believe. Anyway, I hope you're well. I am very well just by doing this like this. This feels good to me. This feels useful. It is specific. Please do send in your questions, because yeah, I like this format. It makes me feel very comfortable and very I just like knowing that I'm actually helping at least one person and not just throwing out random subjects that I think will help, but I don't know for sure. Whereas this is very specific. We can go into very specific detail about your individual struggles that you're having, also the strengths that you clearly have, that you may not be aware of, that you may think, oh no, but everyone has that. No, they don't. No, they don't. We all have our individual strengths, and I'd love to highlight that for you if I'm able. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you on that note. But I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're up to. And I shall look forward to seeing you next time, because I will only do episodes when I have questions. That's the deal. Then, yeah, I will see you next time for another episode. All right, sending you lots of love. I'll see you later. Bye.